Hi everyone, what's up? Josh here on the couch again with the long-awaited unboxing of the XBloom coffee pour-over brewer. Now, this is a fully automated single cup pour-over machine with its own inbuilt grinder. And it loads pre-programmed brew recipes created specifically for the beans that you're using. And I think it has some fantastic use cases for small offices, short-term accommodation, and anyone who appreciates more convenience in brewing a filter coffee without sacrificing on quality. Though, I've not tested this machine, so don't quote me on that last part. Now, whilst this isn't the studio version of the XBloom, and plenty have shared their experiences with this machine, today I'm diving in to take a look at it for the very first time. And I will share my user experience, and we'll be brewing with both pre-packaged coffee pods, as well as I'll be dialing in my own beans using the XBloom, and certainly indulging in a few taste tests too. So let me unbox this now, and we'll get it all set up, and we'll brew our very first brew on the XBloom. Let's do this. The XBloom has a full stainless steel outer casing made solid and durable. The water tank, this is removable and once filled up holds 750 mils of water, which is about enough for 2, maybe 3 brews. In the box, you get the full manual along with a quick start guide for brewing with pods as well as brewing manually, with an RFID card for placing the machine in manual mode, which you brew with a reusable dripper. You also get a brew and grinder brush. The pack of pods I got with the XBloom have a recipe card and the RFID chip on the front, and the pods themselves can be recycled. Sealed up with whole beans inside, it's the entire container that makes up the dripper with holes underneath to brew out from. I'll power the machine up and we'll get brewing. All right, so I've got my water in, I've got the machine on. Here's my coffee pod here, reusable coffee pod. I have my recipe card, which has the inbuilt RFID little chip in behind there. So all I really need to do now, oh wait, I need some sort of cup or decanter. That's pretty important, otherwise coffee's gonna go everywhere eventually. So essentially, what am I using here? I'll just let you know I've got a single origin washed natural coffee. It's a mixed variety from Ethiopia. Tasting notes of mango nectar, cherry, peach sweet tea, and floral honey. Delicious, really delicious. All right, so tap this. There we go. So that's just programmed the machine. Yep, it has all the programs all up the front there. So what grind size, what water temperature, and also the pour rate. I open my little bean canister. Oh man, that smells delicious. There's some whole beans in there, nicely roasted. I'm gonna place them into the top of the grinder. Make sure they're all out. And this turns into my little filter cup, which is fantastic. Place that in there. And so when we're ready, I just feel like if that moves across, that's gonna get stuck. Let's just go with a cup for now, hey? Fingers crossed. When we're ready to start brewing, you just push this down lightly. There we go. And it's gonna do its magic. Adjusting the grind size, sending the beans through, warming it up. This is really cool. Now, I mean, I could be just getting ready for work right now. I could be eating my breakfast. You know, a yoga routine while my coffee is brewing. There's a bit of steam coming out the back here. You can see the water level on the water tank going down really quickly. Oh, wow. Little agitation on the bloom. It stopped pouring for a second there. That's the bloom going. Holding. I'm super nervous this is going to fill the whole cup up, but I don't think it will. I don't think it will. It's a single cup of coffee. Here we go. I feel like it's uniquely coming out of one hole there. There we go. So it's pretty important to have your filter cup on a flat angle just to allow it to obviously pour out of all the holes, I suppose. It's hard to gauge what makes it level or not, but there we go. It's coming out of 2 holes at least now. 2 of the 3. Interesting. We've used about almost 1/4 of the water. What's happening at the front here? So it has your brew ratio, the temperature of your water, and the grind size. And as you can see at the front there as well, the water is being moved around. So like as if you had a gooseneck kettle, you had control of where you were pouring that water over the coffee, like a general pour over would. Oh, another agitation. Are we going again? We're going again. Definitely looks like it gets all the coffee saturated. I mean, it is quite a small filter, so it's going to do that, but it has nice coverage over all of the coffee, which is great, the ground coffee. Man, the smells coming off this just smell like the tasting notes. Mango, cherry, peach, sweet tea. Whoop. Machines just went quiet. It's just slowly pouring out now. I think that was it. Yep, I'm pretty sure that's confirmed. We've probably used, out of the 700, we've probably used about 250 mils. Yeah, it's a cup's worth. That's great. Just sitting there. There's no drips coming from this much at all. Oh, there's a little bit. Move it around, it's going to drip out. No, I don't want to do any more. All right, I'm just going to move that out of the way. It's my hot pour over coffee. I'll give that a moment to cool down. Oh yeah, so it does drip a little bit. There you go. And then, so for these, well, I guess you tip out your grinds, put them in the bin, and you compost the outside shell here. You can certainly compost the ground coffee as well. I'm going to put the ground coffee on my garden when it cools down, and then throw the filter paper into the compost bin. With a bit of a drip, I might just throw this into a cup for now. So it sits in a little filter paper here. Wow, that's gnarly. Simple as that. And this is really cool to touch, even after a whole brew has gone through. That's like, there's no heat in this whatsoever, which is great. Tasting coffee time. Now, I don't even really know the roast date. There's not, like, on this packet, this has just been given to me, by the way, so these are going to come differently depending on what roaster you purchase from. They're each going to be packed in one of these, but in terms of how then the pods are packed and sold, well, it's going to be different, I guess, to every roaster. You might be able to buy a 3-pack here, a 6-pack there. This is an 8-pack that was given to me by Bloom themselves. So they were working with some roasters originally, but you can definitely see availability of other roasters coming on board and showcasing their own beans. It could be your local roaster down the road, and with an XBloom, that's just going to open up a whole pathway of being able to drink delicious pour over coffee without putting too much thought into it, which is pretty cool. When it comes to pour over coffee. It's one of those most difficult things when you grab a new bag of beans from your favorite roastery, trying to find the right recipe, and even that's really good. Even when you do have a recipe given to you, I know a few roasters that I follow have it on the back of their bags or a recommended brew recipe. Then it comes down to actually executing that recipe correctly. And I think that's where the XBloom kind of cuts out the middleman in terms of from the roastery to the brewer to the end cup. It kind of acts as that intermediary, getting the recipe perfect and identical every cup. So essentially, if I was to just go another cup of this, I would just tap the card, literally do exactly the same thing as I did before, and it, theoretically, I could test it, would make an identical cup of coffee to this one. And might I add, this is delicious. I'm forcing myself to drink it in front of the camera right now. It's probably still a little too hot for me, but the flavor notes are already there. There's definitely peach, mango nectar. Probably it's not quite as dark or rich as a cherry as I want, but as it cools, I bet there's going to be some honey coming out of it. It's really nice. Now, I've got to say, this is one of the nicest, if not the nicest. This is really delicious and easy drinking, especially as it cools. This is quite easily one of the nicest pour over coffees from an automated machine that I've ever had. It's a single cup, so I'm not kind of relating this to either like a Mocha Master or a Fetco, which are large batch brews. And I will say also that I haven't had many single cup fully automated brews anyway, this probably being one of like less than a handful. But what I am saying here is this is a delicious cup of coffee. So what the XBloom's just done for me as a single cup of coffee is pretty amazing. Grinding its own beans, brewing out, no thought involved whatsoever. Yeah, and I think the thing that I come back to every time, regardless of what information is embedded into how you got to this end cup, is how good was that end cup? How flavorful, how delicious, how much did you enjoy that end cup of coffee? Regardless of like features or information packed into what the coffee is or how the machine brewed it, did it make an enjoyable end cup of coffee? And this one is amazing. I'm not going to bang on about it because I feel like I already have. All right, now I'm super interested to see whether I can make a delicious coffee better than this, or just as good, let's say, manually with the XBloom. I'm going to be using this filter cup here, which will replace the filter holder. I'm just going to go off now, weigh out some beans, and I need to download the XBloom app, which is going to allow me to get in and adjust all the parameters like the grind size, the brew ratio, and how it pours. So I'll do all of that now. I'll come back when we're about to start brewing, and we'll see how that goes. Let's do this. All right, I'm back. I've dosed out 15 grams of coffee. I'm gonna put my cup under here now. I've got my paper filter in there. I've programmed, get this brew out of the way. I've programmed my 3 pours that I was after, my bloom, my first pour and my second pour, kind of going for like a 40-60, a 4-6 pour over method really. But the really cool thing is with this machine obviously is it is really quick to heat the water, it has a very good control of water temperature, which means I'm actually slowly decreasing the water temperature over the length of time each pour comes. So the first pour is going to be 94 degrees, second is 93, I think it is, and then the third pour is 91 degrees Celsius. So I'm just kind of playing around with it there, which is fantastic. So all it suggests I do now is add the beans. Go. All ready to go there. Now you can tap it at the front here again, or hopefully on the app, I can just hit start. And will it go? No, it's not going to go that way. It's going to go this way. Nope. Let's try this again. Connect. Tap this, tap that. Yes. We're going for my custom recipe and start. All right, now we're loading. There was probably just a little bit of time in between. Here we go, we're going. Very good. Moving over. That's cool. It's even telling you on the app what's it doing at the time that it's doing it. Brewing now. Amazing. A little bit of an agitation. It's really nice that you can see straight through the filter itself. You can see the paper filter and how it's brewing through. There's a little bit of bypass going on, but otherwise it's generally okay. Got a 30-second hold here. I was so worried with the possibility that the water won't be flowing through the coffee bed as quickly as I would like, and it could possibly just overfill, because I'm not too sure if the machine is able to recognize whether if your brew stalls and it just fills up and fills it up. I'm not too sure whether it is able to recognize that it's about to overflow over the top of the filter. So I was a little bit worried about that, but all's looking good so far. All's looking good so far. There we go, that should come to the end of my brew. Slowly dripping through. Oh, it smelled delicious. Oh, there we go, I think that's done. Yep, completed. Enjoy your cup of coffee. Total brew time 234. I mean, that's just spot on, perfect. So I think I got the grind size pretty okay. It's really nice that it gives you that brew time afterwards as well. So you can obviously adjust the grind size for next time. I'm gonna keep this up the top here because that's gonna be my brew card for every time I custom brew. A few more drips left. Might just put this under it. We're all done? Yep, thank you. All right, custom brew on the XBloom. That was really easy. Well, I will admit, there was a little bit of time and trouble I had with pairing the XBloom with my phone. I was just having a little bit of difficulties with getting onto the Wi-Fi because I don't have a Wi-Fi system here. I just hotspot with my phone. So getting it to hotspot and keeping access to the internet while it pairs with your phone as well was a little bit not time consuming, but a little bit tricky. I had to do it over and over again a few times, but we got there eventually. And then I just had to work out how to add custom settings to my phone to, obviously, as you saw before, it's a little bit tricky. There's touch and go, but we got there. This smells delicious. Oh man, are you kidding me? For a single cup of coffee, that's 250 mils. I didn't grind it, I didn't pour it. Took me a little bit of time just to play in the app to adjust temperatures, to adjust grind size, all of that, kind of learning through the app. This is a little bit hot, obviously, but I think like it's fun, it's intuitive in a sense where without really diving into the manual and doing it step by step, admittedly, I didn't just read the whole manual first. I just hoped to jump in and start using the machine, expecting that it was going to be easy. And I eventually found my way. Perhaps I would have found my way easier if I did go step by step along with the manual. But I don't think I've missed anything, essentially. I've been able to brew with the pods, using the pod RFID card, so that allows me to select that. And then obviously using this RFID card and then using the app to select how to use this machine with my own beans. Has been fantastic. I don't think I've missed much on this brew, to be honest. This is delicious. And just to imagine that now that I have that recipe saved in my phone, tomorrow morning, I wake up, all I'm doing is I weigh 15 grams of beans out, tap the card, pour my beans in. There's a filter paper that you have to put in, there's a cup underneath, then you press start on your phone and away it goes. I mean, there's no heating water, there's no setting up your brewer with your scales and so forth. I think there's a little bit more convenience in the XBloom, a little bit more time spent obviously curating and learning the app and learning the machine. But I think that period of time, which I've literally been able to do within a span of like 1 hour, is a lot less than if you're learning how to brew pour over coffee from the beginning. Though I will say I am certainly able to I'm certainly able to use my knowledge of a good pour over coffee and input that into the app. So I do know using like a 4-6 method, and I know how to program that into the app to get the best out of my coffee, and also adjusting the grind size. So it's kind of not a leap in terms of information using the XBloom manually. It's not kind of a leap in skipping on learning how to brew good coffee. However, when using a pod and the RFID tag, which is, you know, the recipe that the roaster has suggested, I think then in that case, using it that way, it is certainly a leap forwards. So convenience over having to learn how to brew a good pour over coffee by just buying the pods, tapping the RFID card, and the recipe's there for you, and you always get good coffee out. I think that's a big leap forward. It's not so much a big leap forward, but there is a huge amount of convenience, I guess, in you've just got this one machine, grinder, kettle all in one, and you're not spending any time, I guess, learning the coffee and dialing it in, so to speak. Oh man, this is delicious. Seriously, I've had this coffee now for a while, and I will say, like, it just tastes different, obviously, but it seems to taste better than if I was to make this same recipe manually, which is kind of bizarre because I have brewed this coffee several different ways, and I'm not too sure what the XBloom is doing to it that I've not done, but it seems to taste better already than what I've done manually. Now that's like for a whole nother video to compare the XBloom and the exact same recipe to a manual pour over of the same recipe, but just my initial thoughts on this coffee right now, that is a delicious cup of coffee using 15 grams to a single cup. That's really nice. The XBloom. Well, thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed my take through using the XBloom in both ways. If you've got any further questions on the XBloom, I've got this for a few more weeks, so I'm gonna play around with it a little bit more. Maybe I will bring that video of a manual versus automatic pour over. Stay tuned for that one. If you've liked this video, smash the like button, subscribe to our channel for more videos that we will be releasing every week. Thanks so much, and we'll see you in the next video.